Hey everyone, welcome back to another Attack on Productions video. Fluff here coming at you with another deck profile. But before we get into that, make sure to do all the YouTube-y stuff, like, comment, subscribe. We always appreciate it. If there's something you want to see in the comments below, let us know. And also, before I get into the deck profile, I did want to mention someone had requested that I build a Red King Vegeta deck. I have been testing the deck. We don't have access to the promos, so I'm not a big fan of the deck at this point. But Nick built a version that was very similar to mine, though quite different, and it's honestly better than mine, so props to Nick on that. Hopefully we might already have his version profiled and getting ready to be on the channel, but we'll let that come up, and then I will build mine once I have access to the promos, because I know what I want to do with the deck, I just can't do it yet. So a surprise for me out of set 13 was the King Cold deck. I built this deck for fun just because it looked interesting, and I actually really enjoy this deck. I think this deck is pretty slept on. It is pretty strong for what it can do, and if I had to describe the deck's gameplay, it's somewhere in between Turles and Prison Frieza. So yeah, it's really weird. I've not really played a deck that plays quite like this. It's really fun. It's really interesting. So we're going to get into the leader starting off. So on the front side, when you're activating a green field card with an energy cost of 2, reduce the cost by 1. So it has that on front and back. And then on the front side, when you activate a green extra card with the field skill with an energy cost of 2, you can take up to 1 card from your life, add it to your hand, and then draw 1 card. And then also when you play this card in your leader area, you get to play King Cold Dynasty from your deck. So you start out with King Cold Dynasty on the field. We'll talk about this card in just a second. But then once you're at 4 or less life, you untap 2 energy, flip the card over, which is amazing because the deck already draws a ton. Doesn't seem like it would, but I promise it does. On the back, again, we have the permanent that reduces the energy cost of field cards by 1. When we activate an extra card with the field skill with an energy cost of 2, we get to add a card from our deck to our hand. And then also activate battle once per turn. You can choose 1 green extra card with an energy cost of 2 in the field skill, place it in your drop area, and King Cold gains 10,000 for the battle. So we can use that offensively and we can use it defensively. It's amazing. It really helps supplement the fact that you run a ton of extra cards in your deck, and it just gives you a free 10,000 combo offensively and defensively. So don't sleep on that skill. It's one of the more important engines of the deck. So that's the leader, getting that out of the way. We're going to start out with the King Cold Dynasty card. This card doesn't do a whole lot of anything, and yet it does everything for the deck. It's a barrier filled, would typically cost 6 to play, but when your leader is King Cold, you can place any number of mono green extra cards with the field skill in your battle area, and your mono green extra cards with an original energy cost of 2 and the field skill don't cause any of your extra cards with the field skill to be placed in the drop area. So that's just an out of the way of saying that your original cost 2 green extra cards do not place your other field cards in the drop area. So this deck will play multiple field cards in your battle area and advantage off of that. The caveat in the second permanent is that you can't have, and if you already have a field card with a particular name on the field, you cannot play a duplicate. So you can't double up on your fields, which is why this is important on the leader to get the place a field card into the drop area, which gets us certain effects plus 10k, plus frees up the space for us to play more. So being a field deck, we are going to start out talking about the field cards. So first off, I do run 4 of a new ruler. Again, these are all energy costs of 2, but you can play them off 1 with leader or free with the Unison. So when this card is placed in a battle area, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add any 1 mono green card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is going to be a searcher card for us. It'll let us find any piece that fixes the quality of our hand or solves the solution. So we don't really want to charge these. We want to use these as often as possible. Now, all but 1 of the field cards have an effect. Well, all but 2 of the field cards have an effect when they're removed. And so when you would activate the leader's effect to remove the skill or remove the field card, then you get to activate the second auto of the field cards. So this one, a new ruler's secondary effect is when this card is placed in a drop area from a battle area by one of your skills, draw 1, then choose one of your cards in your hand and discard it. So this is another way that we can draw. We can get cards that aren't helping us. We can put field cards in the drop area, which we do have a way to recur them from the drop area. So this card is just fantastic for cycling through our deck and moving. It doesn't really do anything beyond move the resources within our deck. We play this at a 4 of because why not? The next one that we play at a 4 of is Anticipated Onslaught. Again, this is an energy cost of 2. This one, if your leader card is King Cold and you play this card is placed in the battle area, draw 1 card, then choose 1 Frieza army card with an energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it. So anytime we would have a Frieza army card in our hand with an energy cost of 2, we play this. We'll also play that extra card, or the battle card out. Sorry about that. That was flubby. And then this one does not have an effect when removed, but has an activate main or auto once per turn when another extra card is placed from your battle area to your drop area by one of your skills. You're going to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. So this is a great way to get rid of certain problem cards on the field, like if we're up against a Black Mass Saiyan, or there's a Basil, or a blocker, or something that we just need to pop and get rid of, we can use Anticipated Onslaught to do that. So play 4 of these guys because we like playing battle cards for free. We'd rather use our energy for playing bigger battle cards, unisons, or activating fields, or defense. Then at a 3 of, we run Unstoppable Invasion. I've honestly been considering running this at a 4 of and Anticipated Onslaught at a 3 of, because this is really the aggro card of the deck. You got to think of this as like the fruit of the Tree of Might for this deck. It's not searchable, but we draw enough that you do see them quite reliably. So if your leader card is a King Cold, again, when you activate this card, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, your leader gets 10,000 power and double strike for the duration of the turn. So you're going to use this, give your leader 10,000 double strike, swing, use your leader's activate main to place an extra card in. The leader becomes on the backside of 35,000 double strike without comboing any cards from your hand. And then when Unstoppable Invasion is removed from your battle area, you choose one of your opponent's unisons and remove a marker from it. So this one can remove a marker, a ruler's end, or a new ruler moves through the resources in your deck. We can recycle from the drop area, which is why I think 3 is ultimately good enough. We just want to see this when we can play it. And you do have to kind of sequence your turn correctly to get the most out of this card. Because if you have to swing first to get rid of an Unstoppable Invasion, you can't then activate an Unstoppable Invasion to give your leader double strike for the turn. So you've got to make sure that you do that correctly. So just make sure you sequence. Unstoppable Invasion is a great card to use on your opponent's turn for defensive plays. So you can immediately at the start of your turn or before you go to attack, play an Unstoppable Invasion and get the double strike for the turn. So 3 of those. And then the last one that we run is the Terrified Realization. This doesn't have an effect when removed, but permanent if you have 4 or more green extra cards in your battle area with the field skill, your Frieza's clan get 5,000 power for the turn. So this turns something like Charismatic Villain Frieza into a 15,000. It gives a bunch of the other Friezas an additional 5,000 for the turn, which it kind of also makes up for the fact that you don't have to combo to get damage in with those cards, and it advantages you. But auto, when this card is placed in a battle area, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then draw 1 card. So we only run 2 of these because really we get no benefit for getting rid of this card unless we just need to do it to resolve an effect. But when we play 2 of these, you see it, you don't see it, doesn't matter, it doesn't affect much. But when you do see it, it gives you access to that 5th extra card in your energy, or in your battle area. So that makes up for the field cards. We do run quite a few there. I think it's 14 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So it's 14 total, including the King's Dynasty card that we play in the beginning. So you're going to see 13 extra cards or field cards over the course of a game. So our other extra cards, we're looking at 3 Dormant Potentials. I was contemplating running this at 4, and honestly, if you're relying on Dormant Potential Unleashed in this deck, you're playing the deck wrong and you're hedging your bets incorrectly. This is good for turns that you don't think you would otherwise be able to survive or be able to outmaneuver your opponent through. So these are just good contingency plans to keep your opponent from waylaying on you, but don't rely on these to win the game for you. So I run them at 3. I've even thought about cutting them, but the more that I thought about it, I know if I cut them, there's going to be situations that I would want 1. So I will just try to keep a dormant potential in hand. The others can safely go onto the bottom of the deck with the new ruler skill or super combos or whatever we need to do to move through our deck. I try to keep 1 dormant potential in hand for when I need it. So 3 of those. Then, as a freebie negate, completely outclassing Shocking Deathball, we have Royal Supremacy. So Royal Supremacy is a negate that can be played for free when you have 3 or more extra cards with the field skill in your battle area. So it becomes free once you establish 3 field cards on your side of the field. And then, like Shocking Deathball, when you activate this, you choose a number of your opponent's battle cards that equal up to an energy cost of 3 or less and KO them. So if your opponent has played like an Abuni and they have their 3 tokens, they swing, you Royal Supremacy, clean up the tokens, and then kill a 2-drop or a 3-drop that might also be on the field. This is perfect for stalling your opponent's aggro if they decide to play a lot of little weenies against you. It's great for, you're tapped out, your opponent thinks, oh, they're going to dormant or something like that, and you can just Royal Supremacy and keep yourself from taking the damage. 4 of these, because they're free, no less. I think this is one of the more important cards in the deck. Then wrapping up the extra card lineup, I do run 2 Homicidal Clones. These are just nice as another free negate, which also puts a blocker on field for you. You can activate this for free once your life is at 3 or less by placing 1 card from your life to your hand instead of paying the energy. So you play this, negate the attack, and then you play a clone token on the field that then also has blocker, which can save you additionally. I don't play these a ton, but when you need them, you want them. So I do have them. I wouldn't cut them for anything. Even though I don't play them often, there are situations where you just need to have a clone token to block with. Our Unison, and we only run the 1 Unison, is King Vegeta, Umbral, and Vader. So this is a specified 2 Unison green. He has 3 effects. He's a 15,000. +1, you choose 1 mono green extra card with a original cost of 2 and the field card in your hand and play it. So any of our field cards that aren't the 6-drop, we can play for free with the +1. The -1, activate main. Your opponent chooses 1 of their battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less and KOs it. So if your opponent has 1 threat on field, you can -1, kill the threat on board. Though I don't highly recommend that. We're basically just using him to play out the extra cards for free. And then his -3, which is actually really good, activate battle. This card gains triple strike and then plus 5,000 for each extra card with the energy cost or the field skill in your battle area. So if you have all 5, he becomes a 40,000 triple strike on that for just -3. So usually the opponent will focus this card down to keep it away from 3, but worst comes to worst, you could tap 4 energy, swing with this guy, and then activate the -3. If your opponent negates, then just +1 and play another extra card. So it doesn't really matter so much, and it's not entirely necessary in your game to have this guy on field. We do run Dormants, we do run Charismatic Villains, but if the opponent decides to go super hard into the Unison and kills it, I'll just change up my play strategy and start bearing in mind that I need to keep energy open for counters or anything that I might need moving forward. So if they get rid of this, it's not a big deal. The real problem is once this guy's removed, after the second game, after the second turn, there's not really a fantastic point to play it again that doesn't throw you completely off your tempo until you get to like turn 4 where you can just tap 4, play this guy for 3, swing, and try to bait out that triple strike. So again, we don't want to be playing multiple of this per game. We want to try to keep our opponent off of it. We want to demotivate them from attacking this card. But if they get rid of it, they get rid of it. Don't sweat it. You can still play the game. Then one of the more important cards of the deck that are battle cards, we've got 4 of the Berry Blue Frieza's Advisor. This card, when you play it, you're going to scry the top 7. You're going to add either 1 mono green extra card with the field skill or 1 Unison with a specified cost of 2 among them. Add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So this is perfect for finding various pieces that you may need to move forward in your turn. And then also activate main for 1 green energy. You get to play from your drop area a mono green extra card with an original cost of 2 in the field skill. So you get to play one of the fields for 1 green from your drop area, which is perfect if you've been having to discard them for effects, or you've burnt one with the leader and you need it back to get another effect to resolve. And do keep in mind, this will play for free off of the anticipated onslaught. So just bear that in mind. This card is almost always a target once it's on the field because it gives you so much advantage and is such a playmaker for this deck personally. Playing any less than 4, I think, is just inaccurate. Then it's kind of a utility piece, and I've seen people focus their builds around this card, and I just don't think that's right. I think this needs to be more of a utility problem solver for the deck. But this is Frieza, Demolisher of Planet Vegeta. So auto, when this card is played, draw 1, and then auto for 2 green energy. You choose one of your field cards, place it in the drop area, KO all of your opponent's battle cards, and then this card gains 16,000 power double strike for the duration of the turn, or until the end of your next turn. The end of your opponent's next turn, my bad. So this becomes a 20,000, 25,000 if you meet the requirements for the Terrified Realization. If you have that on field, it's a 25,000 double strike. But mainly we're going to use this to clear the field off. And then we're going to use it to pressure a Unison or push for game. This isn't something that I'm just going to throw out willy-nilly. One of my favorite plays is to have the Unison, +1 on the Unison, play Anticipated Onslaught, play this guy, and then for 2 energy, you get a passive field clear, and then you get a double striker for 2 energy, which is really good value. It's a 1-drop. It's easily counterplayable. It's easily removed. Paying 2 energy for something in green that can just easily be removed from your side of the field is not worth it a lot of the time. And he's going to be good for that 1 swing, and then he goes back to being a 4,000 body nothing after that. There's no way to reload him back in hand. So it would be better if he got like that double strike turn to turn, but it's just for the 1 turn. So because of that, it's a huge energy investment for you, and you just don't want to invest a ton unless you're going to get maximum value out of this card. Then moving on, we've got 2 of the King Cold Supreme Ruler. Think of this as a Topo Light. The only reason that we're running 2 is because this card just really incentivizes your opponent to blow out your Unison or kill any battle card that you have in rest mode, as opposed to just stopping their turn entirely. So as long as you have 3 extra, or this card is reduced by 1 for each energy card or extra card with the field skill in your battle area. So at worst, he's a 2-cost counterattack. At best, he's a 1-cost counterattack. But then for the duration of the turn after he's played, if your opponent attacks your leader, they have to discard 1 card from their hand in order to do so. So you play this guy, your opponent then can't attack your leader, and then, or if they do, they have to discard 1. But every time that I played this, my opponent has just switched gears and started clearing out my Unison and things like that. If it was any time your opponent's cards attacked, they had to discard 1, I would include this at a 4 of, without a shadow of a doubt. But because it just makes your opponent focus on other aspects of your field as opposed to the leader, I just run it as a 2 of. When you've got it, it's nice. It can help stall turns where your opponent would otherwise be able to, without consequence, push into your leader. So using King Cold Supreme Ruler is fantastic. And it's a great one to use if like your opponent's under dormant and they swing, you've got an energy open, you King Cold, and now you have a 20,000 or 15,000 attacker on the field, depending on whether you've got Terrified Realization. So 2 of those. If it were a little bit better, we'd run 4. But at a 4 of, we do run 4 of the Frieza Revived and Reviled. So this is a dual attack blocker, 20,000. This card's energy cost is reduced by 1 for every 2 mono green extra card with the field skill in your, or for every green extra card in your battle area and drop area. So he can drop down to a 2 cost, which puts him under the threshold for Terrified Realization. And he's also, once per turn, choose 1 green extra card with an original energy cost of 2 in the field skill. Place it in your drop area and restand this card when it activates the blocker effect. So it can be a swing once, restand, and then on your opponent's turn, block, activate effect, restand, block. The thing that sucks about this card is it doesn't have barrier, so your opponent can remove it fairly easily. It's pretty easily counterplayed, but usually we're going to be playing this guy for free. So he's a almost no energy investment card that is going to put pressure, because at absolute worst, he's a 20,000 dual attack on your turn. So I've used this to clear out the opponent's field. If you have Terrified Realization, he's a 25,000 dual attack, which is just a ton of pressure. Plus, he's a good blocker too. So it's a lot like the Goku hit, where it is quite a resource swing for you to play one of these. So we want to play 4 of those. We want to get them out as fast as we can, as many as we can. And then at a 3 of, we play the Golden Frieza. Pinnacle of the Clan. This is hands down the MVP of the deck. This should have been the secret rare or the super rare for the deck. I would have much rather had this than the King Cold or the Cooler that we got. The Cooler is honestly pretty bad. This card is amazing. So it's Deflect, Double Strike, a lot like the Frieza Revived and Reviled. His energy cost is reduced by 1 for every green extra card in your battle and drop area. But he does have a specified cost of 3, so he will never be any better than a free 3 or a 3 to play. So you'll always have to tap at least 3 to play him. But unlike the Revived and Reviled, this guy is worth playing, because activate main, you choose one of your field cards that are on the field, place it in the drop area, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, KO it, discard 1 card from your opponent's hand, and restand this. So for 3 energy, you get to pop a card on the field, your opponent discards a card, then you get to double strike, dual attack, essentially, for 3 energy. It's Deflect, so no charismatic villain, or no Cold Bloodlust, no Trunks on him. He's going to be safe to play under most scenarios. Against the Green Mirror match, Charismatic Villain can take him out quite easily. But this is usually the card that will swing tempo. We want to try to put this guy out turn 3 if we can, turn 4 or turn 5. We want to be able to play these. They're not unique, so you can put multiple out on the field and just continue to pressure with these guys. So absolute must-haves in the deck. I think that this could arguably be a 4 of, but honestly, I haven't missed it at a 3 of, because otherwise they get kind of clunked with the 1-10,000 combo. Then kind of non-Frieza clan, Frieza army centric, though they are still part of it, we've got 2 of the Paragus the Sacrifice. This is just another way to get rid of the field cards on our side of the field, while also getting some advantage. So if we've swung with the lead, or we don't want to swing with the lead yet because we want to give the lead double strike, we can use the Paragus' effect to draw 1, pop 1 of our extra cards, and then we'll get the extra card effect, and then we'll be able to replay the extra card. So just 2, they're not always relevant, you don't always want them, but when you want them, you want to have them. As our super combo, we do run 4 of the Great Saiyaman, Vanquisher of Villainy. Just a quality super combo. Place 1 card that's not doing anything for you at the bottom, draw 2. What more can I say about that? Then we do run 4 charismatic villains. These are mainly because obviously it's charismatic villain, it's a free once you've got a Unison out, but also as part of this deck, because we run the Terrified Realization, charismatic villain becomes a 15,000 free body that also pops a card. So we can pressure with Charismatic Villain after that as just a free 15,000 swing. And usually in decks, once you play Charismatic Villain, he's like a free combo. You just combo him off because 10,000 is oftentimes not relevant. But with that 5k boost, he is now a threat and can deal damage or remove a marker without a combo. So whatever you need, just 4 of those because they're super good. Then we run an SS4 Bardock. fighting against Fate, just a free 25,000 dual attack overwhelm 6. We will definitely be able to do this the turn that we want to go off. Just, it's a matter of finding it. The deck searches, it draws enough that as long as you don't place this card at the bottom of the deck, your chances of seeing it are incredibly high. We just run this to close the game out. And then last but definitely not least is the secret rare Majin Buu incarnation of Demonic Evil. So the green counter dual attack, or sorry, the green counter double strike. So it's a 40,000 double strike. Your opponent has to, you negate the combo or you negate the counter with one of your battle card or Unison swings. So this is great to pair with the Unison if you've got 4. So you swing with the Unison, your opponent tries to negate, you counter, then during the battle you -3 give your leader or your Unison triple strike, and then combo out for game after having countered. If your opponent somehow survived that, you can then follow it up with a 40,000 double strike. Or, just boarding a 40,000 double strike is never a bad idea. So that is the King Cold deck. Sorry, I know, as always, I was a little wordy there, but hopefully that gives you an idea of what this deck is capable of. Again, it draws a ton. Like, we're talking like 14 cards in hand, 12, 10 cards minimum late game. And a lot of them are non-combo pieces, but they are fantastic cards to have in hand that move through. And Jimmy was telling me that he had played a couple games on Untap against King Cole, and he thought the deck was bad. And, he wasn't worried about it. And I did manage to edge out a victory against him, which, was a very close game, but I did manage to steal it with King Cold. So don't sleep on this deck. It's good. If the pilot's good, I think this deck can be incredibly rewarding. It definitely in a best of 1 format where you can catch your opponent off guard with it. It's super good. But anyway, thanks so much, guys. If you enjoyed this video, let us know below. If there's anything that you'd like to see me specifically do, let us know. If there's anything that you would like to see content-wise within the channel, also let us know. But I will stop rambling now. As always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make mistakes so you don't have to. Fluff out.